Man, I probably had the best night ever. I've been saying that a lot this year, haven't I? Huh. Yeah. Honestly, this whole year's been good to me so far. I've been having a few nervous breaks here and there, maybe a sad moment, but everything's just going, everything's coming up Millhouse. That's what it is. So, before I begin, I would like to say what my low, my high, and my active kindness are. My low is I am deeply sorry for the fact it took me 3 years, 1 day, 3 years, 1 month, 3 weeks, and 1 day. 3131. Didn't mean for that to happen, but oh well. In fact, it's actually kind of cool of it. It's actually kind of cool that it happened that way. But I finally saw a movie on the big screen, which is my high, if you couldn't already tell. My act of kindness was I did some stuff that my grandma asked me to do. I love my grandma, so there you go. So, if you couldn't tell, this is a MoReas, or movie reactions, if you will, for a movie that I saw on the big screen for the first time, and again, 3 years, 1 month, 3 weeks, and 1 day. I could have also done 1 fortnight, 1 week in 1 day. It was just easier to say 3 weeks. So let's again, man, 3131. How often do you really get numbers like that? Come to think of it, that might be the longest time I think I've ever not seen a movie in the theater. It was so cool. I remember a couple of things though. Because if you're seeing a movie on the big screen, you need a big old drink, a big old tub of popcorn, and you need lots of candy. By the way, question for all of you. Yay or nay when it comes to sneaking candy in the theater? Asking for a friend, I swear. What the? That's weird. The screen kind of like gets smaller and immediately gets bigger. I have no idea why that's happening. The timer's still going on, which is fine. Maybe like some sort of crazy vibration here. So, I get my popcorn, get my drink and candy. I get because here's the thing. At the Regal Cinemas at the Arnott Mall, what you have is 6 rows of recliner seats. They upgraded to recliner seats back in 2017. And, you press a little button and, you it puts your feet up and it's very comfortable. It's a lot of fun. Gives you a more pleasurable viewing experience. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to sitting in this theater picking out a seat, they make, the way that the theaters are set up, virtually anywhere is a good view. But I'm kind of like a perfectionist in terms of, I want to be in the exact center of the theater. It's not too close to the screen, not too far away from the screen. It's just right. And I do that. Well, I do it the best I can. Because you have 6 rows of recliner seats, from A to F. If it was A to G, that'd be easier to determine the exact middle. Because there is no middle of 6. So as best I could, I decided, okay, C might be a bit too close. D might just be a touch too far. But considering the circumstance, I went with seat D7. As that might be the exact center of that theater. And that's another thing too, there's 12 seats in a row. There's no middle of 6, and there's certainly no middle of 12. So, your discrepancy in terms of where the exact center in these theaters are may vary. Your results may also vary. But that's what I did. Sat down near the middle, and then, like, it was so beautiful, guys. It was so beautiful. I needed this. I needed this so badly. Holy cow. Okay, so, seriously, I was so happy to be in the theater that I was just smiling watching the trailers appear on the big screen. The 20 plus minutes worth of trailers you see before a movie, that didn't even bother me. Because I'm watching this animation like, were people always 25 feet tall on the big screen? Oh, man. And then there's the movie itself, because I kept saying, you know, I want to see the movie Sisu. And I get to a Regal, and the manager there says, you know what, we've been trying to get Sisu. Literally no one else in this area is getting. Literally no other theater in my immediate area has Sisu. Like, I think you gotta go to Ithaca, but even then it's a bit of a stretch. I forget. Plus, even if it wasn't Ithaca, I'm not traveling all the way to Ithaca. No. Especially I have to drive back. Not gonna do it. So, I got the earliest available showing I could, which is actually 6 o'clock last night. Which might just be the earliest I've ever seen, like, a movie the night before it was supposed to come out. Which I'm okay with. Sure, why not? Loved watching it. Because it let me get out early, and the movie ended early, and I was able to get myself some dinner over at Elbow Room, which still has the best wings in the area, hands down. But you've heard me sing praise of Elbow Room enough on these videos as it is. So, I said when I posted on Facebook last night that, don't worry guys, I'm not going to do any spoilers in terms of story. Not going to do that. In fact, full disclosure, this might be the first Judy Blume anything I've ever been exposed to. I mean, I heard of Judy Blume. For those of you who don't know, Judy Blume, actually, she's still alive. Hold on. Let me look this up real fast. Okay, she's 85 years old. Okay, so she's still alive. Okay. Well, for those of you who don't know, Judy Blume is an author, an American writer. And she really has done a lot of, you know, the kind of books that she's supposed to do are books for, like, really young women, I guess. Because they're supposed to be coming-of-age stories. Much like the movie I saw last night. By the way, if you couldn't tell, the movie I'm talking about is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And whether or not you've read any of Judy Blume's works, what I can tell you is everyone can relate to at least one character in this movie in some way. Whether it's, you know, whether you move from like the big city to like a suburb, or, you know, you're a parent who's trying to struggle figuring out what you're going to do with life after you make a big change. There's obviously growing up and going through puberty. There's even, seriously, as funny as some scenes are, there are scenes that are just as good at tugging at your heartstrings in this movie. Again, no spoilers, but trust me, you're going to know when those moments are. Because there were times where again, just as hard as I was laughing in some scenes, I was like, oh, that's so sad in other scenes. Like, I was really feeling for the character of Margaret, played by, hold on, Abby something, whatever. Let me look her up. Yeah, Abby Ryder Fortson. She's really, like, that little girl is a star. That little girl is a star. Like, it's very clear that this movie wouldn't work unless, like, you got the best actor possible for the lead role. And they nailed it with this. And come to think of it, you know, the rest of the cast is, well, here's the thing. A lot of the cast is pretty great too. Like, Benny Safdie is Herb, Margaret's father. But honestly, two of the reasons why I want to go were Rachel McAdams and Kathy Bates. Those are two of the most highly decorated actors in each of their respective generations. I mean, Kathy Bates, Oscar winner for Misery. Rachel McAdams, right, I believe she got nominated for The Imitation Game. And when I started, like, liking girls, she was actually my first crush. Seriously, if you watch Wedding Crashers again, a young Rachel McAdams, or Rachel McAdams in general, and you know Kathy Bates too, why not? Everybody loves Kathy Bates. But literally one of the biggest conflicts, and this is where the "Are You There, God" comes from. And I don't think this is necessarily a spoiler, but the character of Margaret is really struggling to find her identity in a lot of ways. Much like we all do. Again, there's a lot of things you can relate to in this movie. Whether it's growing up and figuring out who your friends are. And that's the thing, like, a lot of the kid actors they got in this movie are also really, really, really good. Like, you think of the beginning of this movie when Margaret first moves from New York to New Jersey. Okay, that's not necessarily a spoiler, by the way. That's really, oh, listen, I literally just said move from one place to another. What do you think happens in the movie? So, and you think, like, it's going to be pretty lonely, but no. Like, seriously, the beginning of this movie, you know what? I'm going to say it again. For Margaret, it really did look like everything was coming up Millhouse. And then, for every time you smile or laugh at this movie, it tugs at your heartstrings so much that you want to cry in other scenes. And that really is where, like, this movie shines for me. Like, this was my first time seeing a movie in over 3 years. I knew if I was ever going to go back to the theater, I had to see something not just good, not just great, but damn great. And this movie delivered on everything. From, you know, the cast, the characters, the setting, the situations, the scenes, the soundtrack. The soundtrack was amazing. Holy cow. Like, this was one of the best movie soundtracks I think I've ever heard. Like, okay, well, full disclosure, there's a certain movie coming out next week with the soundtrack that's probably going to top this one. It will be at least just as awesome as this one. I'll say that much. It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, in case you couldn't already tell. Because, you know, the awesome mix or whatever. So, major props go to Kelly Freeman Craig. Which, if you don't know who she is a screenwriter, producer, and a film director. And believe it or not, this is not the first. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is not the first movie of hers I've seen. Because literally 7 years ago, she directed a movie called The Edge of 17, which is a MoReas I do have to do eventually. And that movie had a great soundtrack too. In fact, definitely Kelly Freeman Craig definitely knows how to shoot a shot. She knows how to shoot a scene. She knows how to get the best out of her actors. Honestly, like, if I'm ever in a movie film and she's directing, I am so in. I don't know, Shover. I don't know, because this is like the second critical success that she's had since of like her directing stuff. I mean, she's directed other movies too, but when I think of her, I think of, the coming of age stories like Edge of 17 and, like this one, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. She's just really good. Everything in this movie's good. Honestly, speaking of The Edge of 17, and I'll mention this if I ever do a MoReas on it, that movie is amazing. There's one missed opportunity, though. One missed opportunity. And that is that, as awesome as that soundtrack is, they are missing one song. What song could that be, you might ask? How about The Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks? Yes, you have a movie called The Edge of 17, and the soundtrack does not feature the song of the same name by Stevie Nicks. Seriously, if you've ever heard The Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks, give that a listen to it. It's a great song. But back to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. In terms of the character that, Margaret goes through, it's the search for identity. That is the main draw of this movie. Because it's not just identity through oneself. Identity through surroundings. Identity involving the people that you surround yourself with. And identity involving religion. Oh yeah, this story goes there. It's because, this is, this will be at least one spoiler, I'm sorry. I know I said no spoilers, but bear with me. So it turns out that Margaret's father is Jewish, and Margaret's mother, played by Rachel McAdams, is Christian, Catholic. And this is the 1970s. So Margaret's mom has never let Margaret meet, her grandparents on her side, because her parents were already disappointed in her and wanted nothing to do with her when she decided to marry a Jewish person. Now look, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys know me, you know I firmly believe in love. Even if I may never see love myself, which I'm not gonna lie, it's starting to look like a real possibility, I still believe in it. I still believe that two people, be they man or woman, woman, whatever, if two people love each other, let it be. And if you try and break that up, you're a fool. Because love is a beautiful thing. But for your own parents to be that disappointed, I mean, again, this was the 1970s. This was a different time. You'd be hard-pressed to find any parents who'd be that cruel to act like that in today's society. Full disclosure, let's say for the sake of argument that I actually marry someone who's Jewish, or if someone who's Jewish marries me, I know for a fact my mom and dad would be wholly supportive. My point is, I'm very glad that we live in better times. And in the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that. But in terms of the movie, I can't really say much more about the movie without giving away too much. This movie was so good, guys. It's so good that, here's the thing. My parents want to go to the country club for dinner, in the Corning Country Club for dinner, which, you know, we're members, and it has been a while since we went, so it's long overdue for us to go. But after that, I want to take them to go see this movie again. Like, I really want to take them to see this movie. I will see this movie again, just so they can go with me to watch it. Plus, in case it's a light dinner, we can always get some popcorn. And I can always get some candy that I may or may not sneak into a theater. Hey, listen, you'd be surprised how many people sneak stuff into a theater. One of my favorite comedians, gosh, what's his name again? I forget his name. He's a comedian with only one leg. That's not the joke, be quiet. And there's literally a joke of him trying to sneak a 2-liter thing of Coca-Cola Classic into a theater. How does a guy with one leg do it? You have to watch it. I'll put a link in the description down below. Speaking of putting links in the description down below, I just realized, since it's very clear, I'm going to have to start seeing movies in the theater again as a thing, and then talking about it the next day. If it's a weekend I'm seeing a movie, and it's also weekends when Hot Ones is back, Friday videos are going to be huge. Because I have to talk about Hot Ones and the movie I just saw. You know, I get the feeling it's going to be totally worth it. So, I hope you all like this movie. If you did, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on social media. As always, I am very humbled to make this video for all of you guys watching Enjoy today. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Friday. Did I do Happy Friday? Yeah, I do hope you have a Happy Friday. And remember, if any of you guys want to talk to me, we're here to lend me all the way back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby. Go see Art There Gods Me, Margaret. It's a really great movie.